should let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy Friday! I just love that song. One day we'll have to get the singer on to the show because the singer is my old roommate's sister. Anyways, we have to
I
get
love
her on.
it.
Yes.
It's so
Catchy.
yes.
Catchy.
Makes me happy every time.
Me too. Guys, welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I am Linda. That is Abby over there. We are covering all things 90 Day The Last Resort. We are catching up on episode 8 and episode 9. So 8 and 9 will be in this little concoction. And you know, it kind of moved fast. There was a lot, but not a lot that happened in these 2 episodes. I think my overall take is don't be racist and be a team player. What were your overall thoughts?
Same. The only thing I would add is if you want people to sympathize with you or understand how you're feeling, you first have to sympathize with other people. You know, there's a lot of people online who take Shekinah's side. And I think what they fail to realize is we can acknowledge that Shekinah was harmed. We can even acknowledge that Shekinah, in a way, was trying to speak up for Thais when this incident happened. We can acknowledge all of those things, and she still needs to apologize first because her offense was greater.
Agreed. Take responsibility. And if that means you have to be the bigger person, then just do that. Be the bigger person so that you can at least open those lines of communication. And, you know, yeah. What you said was egregious, Shekinah. And I need you to start acknowledging that. That being said, The Last Leap of Faith is the title of episode 8. We are kicking it off with Rebecca, who also is not taking responsibility, in my opinion, for the way she treats her husband. And so she is attacking him again. And I say attack. When I say that, I actually mean it. On the fact that he said that she's not a real wife. And I know that we talked about that and talked about solutions, but at the same time, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So for her to then say you're not a real husband and attack him in that way because she feels defensive and she feels hurt doesn't make it right.
Right.
So, and in that same strain, the doctor, Dr. T, I call him, tells her, listen, we talked about this in therapy. We talked about this on one-on-one therapy about the fight or flight, and you're choosing to walk away during this conversation. So he's trying to hold her accountable because what we're seeing in these episodes is Rebecca freak out and walk away. So she wants to have the last word on her terms and walk away. And what Dr. T is trying to show her is that that's not the way, right? Mm-hmm. Fight or flight. You need to stand and deal with the conversations and deal with the hard issues and communicate to your partner rather than drop, you know, these word bombs and then take off. Shekinah is in her tent and she's, you know, running her mouth as per usual. And Rebecca's hearing what she's saying. And a lot of it is, you know, bad talk about Rebecca and Ziad. And she's basically like, well, this is the Rebecca and Ziad show now. Which, you know, Shekinah, when people say that you're making it about you and that you have to be the center of attention, I really need you to pay attention to the things that you're saying because you're calling out the same things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Ziad, I'm actually really proud of. He really is trying to take on all the tools that he's given, you know, on this last resort. and especially in therapy. So he turns to Dr. T and is explaining how, do you see what, like, this is what I'm dealing with, like, how do I deal with this? I feel like my relationship is broken. And then he really has the foresight. So even though there's a language barrier, I think that, you know, to be corny, I think that love is love in every language, because he says maybe love is not enough. And I was like, that is just wisdom. It is, because it's not, you
It's
guys,
not.
never going to be enough. You all have to be this on the same page about your financials. You have to be on the same page about faith and religion. You need to be on the same page about sex and intimacy. You need to be on the same page about like household chores and upkeep. Like, love is just not going to be enough. You just can't kiss it away. Sorry. Do you
I
agree?
mean, I do agree, and I'm actually not sorry to say it.
Listen, it's not. Hey, Fizzies. Friday night with friends. Hello.
That can be a song too. Friday night with friends. Friday night with friends. Friday night with Friday night with Phasies.
We're a mess. I just told Abby this story that is so embarrassing. So anything I do that's embarrassing now, it does not cut what happened to me today. Okay. Yeah. So he is asking the doctor, he meaning Ziad is asking the doctor, like, maybe love is not enough. Um, and then he explains what he meant about, you know, a real wife. He's not saying that Rebecca is a bad wife. He is really just, he just wants time with his wife. And, you know, I know you and I talked about this and we've had a little bit of a debate back and forth, um, because she is working many hours to provide the lifestyle that she feels they want.
Mm-hmm.
And he is saying that, yeah, that's great, but to save our relationship, we also need to spend time together. And that's all he's asking for. He wants some time with his wife. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that that's an improper request. I think that, like we talked about, yes, you have to have a solution to that. But I also think that if your husband or your partner or your wife, whatever you want to say, is saying, okay, so maybe me driving Mercedes is not that important to me. So if I have to drive a Toyota and we spend $20,000 less so that we can spend time together, then that's what I want to do.
Right. So interestingly, Ziad and Rebecca and Russ and Paola are kind of having the same problem, but inverse.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's important to one partner, and that partner wants to be thanked for doing that thing, is simply not important to the other partner.
Yeah. You gotta communicate with your partner. And I don't want to say what I want to say yet because it's gonna come up later, but like, if you're not communicating, what's the point?
Yeah.
You think
And,
you're doing
and
all the things. You think you're doing. I don't want you to say what I think you're gonna say.
no, 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 I'm not going to say, what I'm going to say is when we say they're not communicating, I think people think that means like you're not talking. No, no, no. That also means you're not listening. So you have to be a listener in the communication process. That's more important than being a talker.
I don't know about you, but in kindergarten they used to say to us and do this. Do you have your listening ears on? So when you're
Yes.
climbing up on the chair and your teacher said stop doing that, and then you get a timeout. Not that that happened to me, but do you have your listening ears on? So Ziad and Rebecca are like at odds. And Shekinah's over here kind of stroking the fire and says that Rebecca is going to lose Ziad. because she keeps cutting his eggplant off, and that's insane. And you know, she kind of has been saying a lot of stuff, right? Called Rebecca a drill sergeant, not a wife, all the things. She's saying a lot. And I find it interesting because it is really human nature where it's so easy for us to judge others, but not deal with our own issues.
Absolutely. She can't see the sty in her own eye.
Sty in her own eye. That's good. So Rebecca's mad at Ziad and Shekinah and says, she's happy to ignore and act like they both don't exist. I don't recommend that. I don't think that that is adult behavior. Just, again, having a temper tantrum and walking away and then ignoring your problems. I think that you're too grown and too old to be acting like you're, a baby, because that's baby behavior. In my
It is
opinion.
baby behavior. Because if we were in a group therapy setting and I began to offer my opinion on another pair in the group and they told me they didn't want my opinion, I would simply shut up.
That's it.
It's a
Also,
storm off.
but also you're in group therapy. So that shows me that, again, you can dish it out, but you can't take it.
Hmm.
And you're not a team player. So, like, if I
Right.
was in HR and I'm looking around, you're walking away because you can't handle it, tells me that you can't be a team player. And then that just goes to show you can't be a team player. How are you a team in your own marriage? Like, make that
Cor-
make sense.
Correct. Because now she's cut off Sarper's ability to participate.
Exactly. And speaking of Sarper, Sarper tells Shekinah, tells the producers, the audience, that Shekinah is difficult to handle, and he has the foresight. And I'm so proud of Sarper because really, he's come such a long way. He's done the work, you guys. He really has. He says walking out of therapy is our loss. He says. He's going to back up his wife, obviously, he says, but we came here to work on a relationship, and losing out on therapy is a loss for us. I was like,
Hmm. Hmm. He also said last episode that he also had some opinions on Rebecca and Zied, but given the events that had occurred, he was keeping those opinions to himself. So he was able to read the room and say, I'm not going to say anything right now. Whereas Shekinah decided to talk. So Sarper is is showing a lot of emotional intelligence in the way that he's choosing to engage or not engage.
exactly. I'm just so impressed with him. Hey, Becca. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
Um, the girl, so Shekinah takes off, and then I will say this: Thais, Rebecca, Cara. I know you guys are mad at Shekinah, but stooping to her level and being mean girls and making fun of her, and then doing the reverse Uno where you're saying that she should go back to her country because you guys are in the UK. Just, I thought that was ugly. I mean, if you're gonna take a stance, if you're gonna take a stance, and you're gonna be so mad that someone said something so racist, and then you're gonna go behind her back and then make fun of her and then say the same thing. I just don't think two wrongs make a right. Stand firm in your position, be mad at that, and stand firm in it, and confront her on that. But don't stoop to that level.
I don't
You're,
know if okay, I think as I'm rethinking about this that I was wrong. But when I heard Paula say that, I actually thought she meant like go to the country, like go to the woods where you grew up. And I don't
mm,
think that's what she meant. But when she, at the time that I wrote my note, I was like thinking that's what she was like, go back to the wilderness, is what I was thinking.
I mean, that makes sense, but I don't think that that's what it was. What do you guys think? Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the replay. Do you want to add anything else before I move on from Rebecca and Zion?
No.
I'm talking about Russ. Yes, Russ, I'm talking about you again.
Yeah.
Russ and Powell. Russ really felt that they did well on the hike up and that he took the lead. And Powell continues to say and has said again that he is not meeting her needs sexually. And he felt like by taking the lead on this walk that somehow that's going to translate into him taking the lead sexually with his partner. And Paul's like, yeah, no. Um, she also goes on to say that she's tired of being his teacher. And I'm going to tell you, men in general, women are they don't want to teach you, especially when you're grown. If you're in your 20s, yeah, maybe that's fun, you're taking on a project. But when women are fully formed, okay, so 30 plus, they don't want to teach anyone anything. It's, you should know by now. And in 2026, the digital age where literally everything is online, you can AI all the stuff, you can Google stuff, you can YouTube stuff. I can go on and on and on and on and on. There's absolutely no reason for you to say that you didn't know and you can't do any better. And, you know, corn, it's huge and it's huge out there. You know, do some research, figure it out if you don't know any better. Your wife shouldn't have to say, hey, I have to teach you this, I have to teach you that. She can absolutely say, I enjoy this, I enjoy this, this fulfills me and this fulfills me. And if you don't know what those things are, then it's up to you as a grown-ass man to figure it out.
And you know a great way to figure that out, Russ? Doing your homework, which was just to identify erogenous zones. You couldn't even do that. But you thought that leading a hike would replace that? Come on, man, let's screw our heads on.
And, you know, and I'm also not the only person that is giving you some constructive feedback. Kara said the same thing, said, you know, he doesn't even reciprocate to take care of her. And here's the thing. Kara, I'm sorry. Kara and Guillermo don't agree on much, but they agree, Russ, that you're not doing the job. And Guillermo says, literally, just get it done.
Oh, did he say just get, I thought he said just use your tongue. Is that he said just get it done?
Just get it done.
I thought he's okay. I misheard.
Just
What is
get it
wrong
done.
with me? I was mishearing things. Okay.
Just get it done. Satisfy your wife, just get it done. That's
Yeah.
it. But, oh God. But Russ feels emasculated and he is the victim in the situation. And the doctor says, basically, Russ, you're the problem. The issue is with you first. And I'm not saying that. I'm just reiterating what the doctor said. The doctor, Dr. T, said, it comes down to you first, Russ. You're the issue. That's what the doctor said. So if you can hear me, what I'm saying is that just like Abby said, like the doctor said, like your wife said, like Guillermo said, like Cara said, do your homework and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's really that simple. But if you're not doing your homework and you're not getting it done, that's where my concern comes in, because then I'm going to say you're lazy and selfish. And that's how it's coming across. You're not the victim here because you can fix all the things that your partner is having issues with, but you're just not doing it. And my question to you is, why are you not doing it? Why?
I asked myself this too. I think that because he's had so many years of not having to do it, that he would rather just wait for her to stop complaining than to actually change anything. He thinks there's going to come a time where she will just stop complaining and let them go back to the way that it's been all these years that she's just put up with being unsatisfied.
Sounds like laziness to me. And to go off on what Dr. T said, it's not just about taking charge when there's a test. You need to execute when no one else is looking. And verbatim, Russ, Dr. T says that you are the root cause and are messing up your relationship. That's what the doctor said. So don't come for me and tell me that I'm bitter. I'm just reiterating all the things that I said. I'm standing on all the things firm. I'm just giving you constructive feedback because I think you two are a great couple. You already are 12 years in. I want you to go another 50 years. And so, in order to go 50 years, you got to put in the work. You can't just be complacent in your relationship and not do the things and have your wife continue to complain over and over again. So, you can come and say that I'm a bitter lady, but I'm really just trying to help you. Anything else you want to add?
I also thought through something else. I was thinking how intimidating it may be for him to go into a situation where he knows that he's not good at something and have to, try and try and try over and over, like how intimidating that must be. And then I decided that I don't care. I don't have any sympathy for that because we're adults and either you want your relationship to last or you don't care enough about your partner.
I'm glad you had that full circle moment because I was about to say something, but I agree with you 100%. Don't care. Work it out. You're grown. Moving on to Cara and Guillermo. Uh, I really just think that she's a great communicator. I do. I like how she communicates. I really just I don't know. I just want to give her gold stars. That being said, she's in high spirits. She feels like um, they had like a decent trek up. She does, however, feel that Guillermo wants her to compromise for what works best for their family. And she feels like he is constantly coming from a place of judgment. And I think both of those things are true. And he says, no, they're not true. He's just worried about his son and worried about the future, and that his son is going to be bullied for her selling adult content online. And I love this line that she used. She's like, even before I was a mom, I loved you down. And she started crying. And I interpreted that how I've been interpreting it, where she's the exact same woman that you married. She's the
Mm-hmm.
exact same lady that quote unquote loved you down, and all the things that she did when you met her. And she's the same. Just because you decided that you want to have a handmaid's tale now doesn't mean that she's a terrible individual. You just changed what you wanted. But if you step back from your changes, she's the same woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
so that's a you problem.
It's a you problem. Even him saying I'm worried about our son being bullied is a him problem. He's saying that he's worried about this future scenario where some children may know about the mom's adult content, like in what, middle school, and then may bully his son. And this fictitious scenario that he's created is not his real worry. I can't, I have a hard time believing that that's his real worry. It's so far away, it's so outlandish. And none of us have any control over whether or not our kids start being bullied. We only have control after it happens and how we're going to respond to it. So I just don't believe that this is his real concern. I think what he's doing is using the son as a weapon and a shield to try and make her seem like a bad person because our kids can be made fun of for anything. I mean, Taylor came home one day and said the kids on the bus said I was weird, and I had to say, "Oh, so sorry. I forgot to tell you. You are weird. You come from a weird family. You got a weird mom." We have a choice how we respond to our kids being bullied because after that, Taylor was just like, yeah, I am weird. But to say that I don't want to dance around my house and sing silly songs and have a kid who's super expressive because I'm worried about them being bullied is ridiculous.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And Guillermo goes on to say that selling adult content does not make him feel proud of her. And the only way he's going to be able to get back together with her is if she stops. Um, so he can't move on without her stopping this. And again, my concern is he's acting brand new. He's acting like she just did this. I think the saying is out of a vacuum. She told him, oh, is it not? Okay, well, my point is this. She, she didn't do this in isolation. She said, this is what I'm going to do, and talked to him about it. He agreed, and then she did it. But because she's popular and is making a ton of money, now he's mad and he feels like he's embarrassed. And I personally think it's just the male fragile ego. Now your woman is out there and all the men are lusting over her and you can't handle it because you feel like you're not enough of a man. That's what I think it is.
I think it's that combined with money. Because he hasn't said, like, here's how we're going to replace the money, or here's how I'm going to financially support you, because she's made it very clear this is a choice that she made out of financial strain,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So now that the money is flowing easily and she's able to pursue everything she wants to pursue without worrying about these multiple jobs she had before,
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't said, well, here's the plan to replace that money, or here's how I'm going to support you where I wasn't supporting you before. He wants her to give up that stream of income because I think he feels some kind of way that he cannot make that kind of money.
100%. Becca agrees with you 100%
Oh,
as well. 100%. If he's embarrassed, he's not the provider. There's a solution to that.
there's a solution to that. And honestly, I think that she would be willing to maybe not give it up completely, but compromise in some way if he would, once again, as we've discussed, present her with a solution. Tell her, I'm sorry that I didn't pursue I didn't support your singing career. Here's how I can support that going forward so that you can still pursue that and you don't need to have that stream of income to help you with it. Here's how I can help take care of our son. Because remember, she still has the son 6 nights a week.
Yep.
Here's how I can help take care of our son. Here's what money I am making now. And here's how I can make more in the future if we can work towards this particular goal. Um, Present some options, have some conversation, but his compromise, quote unquote compromise, begins and ends with stop doing a thing that is providing you with all the financial support and security that I was not able to give you.
Agreed. Real quick, Fizzy says bullying happens over anything. The wrong shoes, the wrong haircut, the wrong shirt, the wrong pants. Very rarely are you bullied over something your parents did.
Exactly. We're growing up in the age of these kids are growing up post Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and all of these figures. Um, I really don't hear anything about their kids being bullied.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Anna Nicole Smith was the greatest to ever do it. We didn't ever hear about her son being bullied.
Rest in peace, Anna Nicole Smith. The doctor was really laying it out there. If you guys noticed in this episode, he was really like low key calling people out. So he said that Cara and Guillermo are at an impasse, and that their issues are lack of communication and compromise. And then turned to Guillermo and says, you know, if you want to compromise and communicate, first you need to relax your body language, and second you need to treat her like anyone else, meaning all that judgment that she was talking about over here, the judgment over here, the doctor, the therapist is telling you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Stop judging her. Treat her like you would treat everyone else. Also, relax that tight, closed body language, right? And see if things are different. See if the communication and the compromise changes.
He didn't listen to none of that, by the way.
100% no. They are wrapping for the night, so group therapy is done for the night. people start walking away. The whole group is talking about Shekinah and Sarper, because they were not there, and so they feel that they were not respectful of the group. I gotta tend to agree. If you're in a group therapy and you're walking away because you don't want to have to hear what the group has to say, it just feels very selfish and one-sided. What are your thoughts, Abby?
Same. I mean, on the one hand, they probably would have been annoyed also if she stayed, because she would have kept talking. But if she had done this the right way, if she had come with some humility and an apology, it wouldn't have created all this tension that she's feeling.
Agreed. Most of the group hates camping. That's just a side note because I too, if it's not glamping, if I'm not in a cabin, I will not be there.
I wouldn't have slept. I would have been up all night with a
Me too.
flashlight. Like,
First of all, like, my rent is expensive. I'm going to need to enjoy the air conditioning and the lights and the comforts. So, I mean, for me to drive and fly and road trip, to put up a camp tent and sleep on the ground, I mean, why would I just not just go out front and sleep on the hard concrete? At least I didn't have to waste, gas and electricity. But I mean, if it's going to be a beautiful cabin where it's like you're in the wilderness and you hear the birds and it's fresh air and you have running water and you have this big old, those big beds that have like the wood pillars. If it's like
with
that,
with the cotton
yes,
coming down over the bed, like the mosquito netting.
Yes, if it's all that, sign me up. Make sure there's a running shower though, also inside, not outside. But they're in their tents. They flash over to Guillermo, who is literally tripping out that car is too close to him. And he starts freaking out. He puts a literal border in between them. But she is using her soft, male, fragile ego voice. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Where they can't feel threatened and also need to be soothed. And she's doing that. He offers to hold hands with her. And she's like, well, that's not going to last all night. And what she was just trying to do is have a little comfort and a little intimacy, as well as keep warm in the cold, freezing outside worldness of it all. Do you want anything?
No, I'm good. Let's go.
It's the next morning. It's 6 a.m. Everyone's up early because who's going to sleep in that nonsense? Sumit and Patrick are up and they have a fire pit started. They are making hot dogs and burgers for breakfast. And this was just such a weird thing to me. And again, like I talked about this on the original 90 Day. I just don't think, like, if you're something and that's what you stand for, then you just should stand for it. But Sumit has never eaten beef. Like, that's not part of his culture. But now all of a sudden he's gonna have a hot dog. Abby?
I was like, he's not fooling me. He's had beef before. Also, I was like, who buys beef hot dogs?
First of all, dear America, can you help the Americans be able to eat just anything? Because they can't eat anything right now. Everything is Listeria, Salmonella, recalled. Can you help the Americans so that they can just like open their fridge and have a meal? Groceries are already expensive and now you're making them throw everything out? Make that make sense. Like, go ahead and rehire all the FDA people that you laid off because clearly something is cracked. These fools just want to have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. Could you let that happen? Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know. The hot dogs and hamburgers, that's what they were doing on a stick. They were also making beans and, oh God, arepas.
Arepas.
which are actually delicious, you guys. They are actually delicious. So the fact that Guillermo made the batter and brought it was kind of actually super cool, I thought.
I think that it's hilarious that Kara said that he just carries a rape of flour with him everywhere they go.
I just think it's great that it's such a immigrant thing to do. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Listen, you guys, when I get my mom to make her infamous jollof rice, I bring it back in Ziploc bags, and I will take that wherever I need to take, especially when you're going to someone's home that you know you probably shouldn't be eating from. Just have a little Ziploc in your tote bag of your favorite food and just do a little snacky snack and you're good to go. I do it a lot. I have car snacks.
Mm-hmm. This actually would have been a nice moment, but maybe the show doesn't want to go there, for us to talk a little bit to Guillermo about where he came from and how he's feeling, because him carrying around the arepa flour might even be, a thing to remember his family, because you guys remember he was in the Dominican Republic for a few years because he fled Venezuela when things started happening there. And so I wonder, was he someone who always carried a rainbow flower, or is it something that started after he had to leave and went to the Dominican Republic? Like, it would have been nice to get a little bit more history on him, because even when they introduced him in the first two shows they were in, we didn't know anything except that he was uncertain about his travel because he couldn't get a passport. That's the only thing they told us before.
I agree with you. I think that we often have a lot of missed opportunities to go deeper about the whole cultural aspect of this show. Okay, speaking of like the hot dogs, the hamburgers, all the stuff, I don't know how this conversation came up, but Cara and Guillermo are crazy like that. And they said, if you there was no food and you had to eat one person, who would eat? Guillermo says that he would eat Sumit because Sumit is Indian and the spices and all this stuff. Cara said that she would eat Zia just for the pure mass of it. But then Guillermo counters and said, well, if we're talking about mass, we would have to eat Patrick. I'm just reiterating what
What an odd conversation.
Solely odd. We do find out something interesting about Shekinah, that she spent 6 months in Cambodia in a grass hut. And so just to go along with her survival wilderness stuff, which also just continues to make me disappointed, because with travel, you usually just have a way bigger and more open mind. And so that just disappoints me. Like, you've done all this traveling, you've done a lot of alone time, you're in a survival hut in the middle of Cambodia, and yet you're telling people to go back to their country.
But if you're traveling with just fundamentalist groups, then you're not going to be, she's in the camp, but it's not like she's being exposed to other cultures. She's not like she's living amongst the Cambodian people. She's just with the people who she traveled with. Like, there are people who travel and they only stay at all-inclusive resorts. They never actually leave the resort. It's like, yeah, okay, you were on a plane, you traveled technically, but you didn't really get to know the other country you landed in.
Oh, ew. Do people do that?
There are people who do that. And so if that travel was a part of the group that her parents belonged to, which was an ultra conservative group, she wouldn't have got any additional exposure. She would have gotten some, survival skills, but not any exposure to other people and other life situations and other cultures and other food, nothing like that.
It's unfortunate. Then there's a whole poop talk that I'm just going to gloss over if I'm not interested. She kind of feels alienated by everyone. She feels like everyone hates her and that no one wants her there. And I just feel like that was an opportunity for her to take accountability for what she said and do some apologizing. And I can't really understand, Abby, why she doesn't see that is the issue. The issue is you need to own what you said and apologize. You offended everybody. So if you feel alienated, it's because you offended these people and you're standing in your offense and not saying anything about it.
Right. And by the way, Jenny and Submit offered her great conversation after this happened. So her insistence that she's being alienated is truly of her own making, because at the very least, she knows she could go to them and say, I'm feeling like I'm not a part of the group. I'm feeling like an outsider. What do you think I should do? Or can you help me? But she's just choosing to just stay away and say, they're excluding me. They're not.
Yeah, you're not the victim here. There is a whole there's a whole thing that I thought I was going to get into, but again, I just don't think I will. But I will mention that Guillermo gives Cara this purple toy in front of the whole group, and again, I just feel like that was manipulation, control, degrading. He just was really trying to belittle
Mm-hmm.
her, and I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, he's trying to embarrass her.
But also belittle her because he just thinks this whole adult content thing is so terrible. She's a terrible individual and lower than and all of those things. So for him to go into her bag, like she said, and pull this out and bring it to her in the group setting, I need you guys to see these microaggressions, because that's what it is. And it's, again, like Abby said, not only to embarrass her, but to also put her down. Mm-hmm. And for her to be reminded that he doesn't like what she does to make money.
Right.
And I need you all to know, as women, that Julianne. Anyways, when she said, men don't own me, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Men don't own you. They don't own your body. Men don't own you, and they don't own your body.
Right. I mean, the fact that he was even in her bag in the first place, I think needs to not be glossed over either. Because sometimes when men are very controlling, the ways in which that happens is by monitoring your belongings and your phone. And if she's not allowed to have the privacy of what's inside of her bag, that's an indicator of some other controlling behaviors.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of any of that. Fizzy says Shekinah can say every word in the dictionary except sorry. Facts.
Basically.
Cara gives a lesson on this toy, along with Powell, to Thais, who has never used a toy before, which I thought was very interesting. Do you want anything else before I move on to the wilderness survival?
No. Let's go.
So Nick, he is the wilderness survival tour guide. Along with Dr. T, they have their challenge. Nick has Sarper and Shekinah join the group because, again, they've been, far off to the side. Their next challenge is abseiling, which is rappelling down this cliff. Would you rappel down a cliff, Abby?
I don't know if I could do it now, you guys. I have rappelled previously, but I feel like every year that I get older, the less risk taking that I'm willing to do. But I was in California, and I was actually I was a trainee park ranger. Can you believe it? I was once thinking that I was going to be a natural resources police officer. And so we actually had to rappel while we were there, and off of I can't remember how tall. It was off of a wall. I can't remember how high it was. We had to climb over it, go over it, rappel on the other side as a part of the training.
I love that. I love learning that new thing about you. I'm all about it. I love the whole indoor, outdoor rock climbing. I would be the first one, like, let's do it. It's totally my jam, which is so crazy. Because if you know me, I'm super girly, but there are some things that I just love, and that's one thing I love. I love this challenge. I was so excited. Okay. Ziad was excited as well. He said, that's the best. Sarper was not as enthused because he's scared of heights, as is Shekinah. Dr. T tells them that this really is about communication. So one half of the couple is going to go up and repel. The other half is going to stay on the ground with a walkie and guide them down the rock. All the men are chosen to repel except for Thais, who is going to repel for their group because Patrick recently had, I guess, double knee surgery. I didn't know that. And so she wants to make sure that, he doesn't bust a kneecap. The first two to go up are Thais and Sarper. What I noticed about this was Shekinah was a really great communicator to Sarper as he was coming down, which alleviated some of his fear of heights. And so I thought that stood out. What stood out for Patrick and Thais is Patrick was reminded that Thais is indeed strong and is indeed brave and not just the trophy wife that he thought he was bringing back to America. He is, quote unquote, so proud of her, although he felt like he needed to go and rescue her. All of that came in the same breath. Thais had a little issue coming down the rock, and Sarper, again, showing how he's done the work, took away from the fear, took away from the heights, took away from the challenge, and was helping her get down the hill by talking her through what she needed to do in order to get down safe. And in the radio, you can hear Shekinah tell him to focus on himself and to not help Thais. I thought that was disgusting. And to camera, Shekinah said to us, the audience, that she felt Sarper was a traitor and not loyal because he helped Thais, who was, quote unquote, her enemy. There's a lot to unpack there, but what I will say, you guys, is Sarper, keeping you, and don't succumb to the nasty that your wife can be, because at the end of the day, be a human, be kind, spread love. Also, be an adult. That's your enemy. Like, who talks like that's your enemy? She's only your enemy because, like Faziz said, you don't know how to say sorry.
The other thing is, he was afraid of heights as well. So I imagine that it was helping him to forget his own fears, to leave his own head, and to help Thais. So how do you not see that, Shekinah, as a positive for both of them? That they have that. Even when Patrick saw that Sarper was helping, I think he had like some mixed feelings about it a little bit, but he did put the walkie down and say, oh, Sarper's helping her. So, and why would you want to have a partner? Like, as an individual, why would you ever want to have a partner who sees somebody struggling and could help them and chooses not to? Why would that ever be a quality that you wanted in a partner?
Disgusting. Yuck. Ugh, yuck. Happy early birthday to Faziz. She says her birthday is coming in September and she's going skydiving for the first time. That's awesome.
Oh, excellent. I hope you enjoy it. Are you doing the indoor skydiving?
No, do outdoor. Do outdoor and do the tandem and just experience life. We're moving on to season 3, episode 9, the last performance. We just talked about this. Sarper overcame his fear of heights. Shekinah's still mad that he helped Thais. And we're moving on to couple number 2 that's rappelling down the hill, which is Jenny and Powell, and Submit and Rest. Jenny and Powell being on the ground. I don't know if I mentioned this, but part of rappelling down that rock as well is they each had animal placard that they had to find down on their way down. And so for Jenny and Pao, it's a snake and a rooster that they have to help their partners find. Jenny was not very helpful. And Dr. T literally had to tell her that she needed to focus on the task because she was like, oh my God, oh no, I can't watch, no. Focus. And she ends up focusing a little bit. Sumit really steps up, who was kind of like a natural out there, and he was able to get his card, and he's screaming, I'm the best. Yeah, we were all actually surprised. Were you surprised? Because I was.
Yeah, I was not expecting anyone in that pair, Jenny and Sumit, to be any kind of athletic. I thought he was just gonna slide down, like face plant on it and just slide down the rock face.
Russ also gets his card, which was the rooster. And what I thought was interesting that I think that he doesn't pay attention to, Abby, is the fact that his wife continued to, like, even though she complains, she also supports a lot and encourages
Absolutely.
a lot. And she was doing all the encouraging as he was coming down and complimenting him and kind of being like sexy towards him, saying, you know, your butt looks good and all of this stuff. And then as soon as he comes down, she hugs him, she kisses him, she encourages him. So why doesn't he talk about that part? Does he forget that she does that as well?
He takes it for granted because she came in affectionate and has remained affectionate despite her request for him to step his game up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Group number 3 is Ziad and Guillermo. Rebecca and Ziad, you know, obviously their biggest issue is lack of communication. And she's worried about that because they haven't been on the same page for a long time and they have 0.0% communication. And so she's worried. But guess what? Ziad was like an expert, y'all. When I say he did, you, because there's a move you do when you're sliding and you like double tap to the side, that slows you down. And that's he did it like automatic. I was like, how has he done this before? He's like an expert. Kara, why I don't know why I keep calling her that.
I mean, there are Karas in the world, so you just, you know, Kara, Kara.
Look at it and I'm like, it's Kara. Kara helps Guillermo get down to, he grabs his placard. And so their placards were snail for Ziad and spider for Guillermo. And Guillermo grabs the spider card, which there are no coincidences in life. But he drops the card. And guess what? Guess what? Kara remains calm, encourages him, helps him to go maneuver and grab the card. Even though he's been so terrible, she continues. That's, I'm just like, she's so good. She's so good. She doesn't, you know what it is? I think, Abby, is I like that she doesn't allow people to take her out of her, who she is.
Absolutely. I mean, and that is not just with him. That seems to be who she is consistently because people leave her the nastiest comments and she remains jokey and nice when she chooses to respond to them. Good for her. And I really hope that it is an accurate reflection of where her mental health is because those things can really get to you over time. So I'm glad she's keeping her spirits up and it seems to be doing really well. Because me, I'd have been like, oh, he said don't touch me, so he can get down that rock by himself. Good luck.
So Ziad and Guillermo get down. I did think it was a sweet moment that Guillermo and Kara, just that's what it's going to be. It's Kara and Kara. It's just going to be that. I can't keep correcting my own self, you guys, so just bear with me. But they shared a cute hug at the bottom, and you could see in that moment that if he could just let go of his fragile ego and the need to punish, they could come back to something. Because in that moment, you could see where the love came from.
Mm-hmm.
Ziad loved it, said it was the best experience of his life. And
He's having Ziad's having a great time on this retreat. Minus the arguing with Rebecca, he's having a grand old time.
He really is. And he literally said, this is a good sign that maybe we can make our marriage work, because they were able to communicate in this moment and have him safely come down the rock. End of the camping outdoors challenge. They are going back to the hotel, the Castle Hotel. Everyone had a good time, and it's so funny because in the moment, everyone's like, "Oh, I hate camping, and this sucks, and it's cold, and blah." But as soon as they get into the Mercedes vans, they're like, "Oh, we had such a good time. That was so fun." And Thais mentions Sarper and says that she appreciates how much he helped her, and that he is growing on her as he has with us, and that he has a big heart. And you do see that. You do see that about him. Rebecca is reminded how much she actually really loves Ziad. Jenny says she never wants to go camping ever again. And as she's talking to Sumit, she also wants to remind him that in a marriage, in a relationship, you communicate and you don't just take loans out on your own without discussing it with your partner. And this is what Sumit says, Abby, that he doesn't like the concept of marriage. What were your thoughts on that? Because
okay, so I did watch the preview Going Beyond a little bit, and I actually agree with what he's saying. I think that it's a revelation for him, maybe a little bit too late, that in the confines of his culture, with where he has to place his parents, that marriage in the Western format that Jenny wants does not make sense. And he cannot reconcile these two things. So he says, like, later on, he says, I'm beginning to understand, I'm beginning to realize that I don't know what marriage is. So I agree with what he's saying, because he's been fighting all these years for these things to collapse into each other, and they simply won't.
I'm going to wait till the next episode to comment.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, okay. You don't know what marriage is after how many years? You don't know what marriage is after 10 plus years? You don't know what marriage is. Okay.
I mean, he's right.
Becca, let me tell you something. Everything about this, you get me. You get me. I am standing 10 toes deep down, whatever.
She's 10 toes deep, in a vacuum of. I have a cousin named Cara. So,
yes, yeah. Girl, you get me. You get me. I love that. Yes. To be continued with the concept of marriage idea, you guys. We have to have this conversation, especially for all you married people out there. I'll put it in the chat right now, and for the replay, and also for the next episode. Should you understand the concept of marriage if you are 10 toes deep, if you're 10 years deep, 10 plus years, if you have the privilege to have been married for 10 years, should you know the concept of what marriage is by then? Let me know in the replay, let me know in the live chat, and we'll talk about it next episode. That being said, everyone's getting back to the room. Thais and Patrick. Thais needs a shower first. Guillaume and Kara. Kara says that they had a lovely camping experience. They actually hug, have another nice moment. And she says, you can come here anytime. This is still half your room. And I don't know if it was an olive branch or what, but he's like, you can also come to my room anytime. I was like, is this a breakthrough? Sarper and Shekinah. Sarper is trying to get Shekinah to quote unquote be good. And when he says, I need you to listen to me sometimes, he's not saying listen to me like, ooh, in the manly tone that we would have thought when we first met Sarper. He was like, you need to learn when to speak and when to not speak. So you need to listen to me and follow my lead, because there's a lot of times that he could say something, but he chooses not to because he's reading the room, and Shekinah reads the room.
Correct.
Paola and Russ, it is their 12-year anniversary. Happy anniversary. 12 years is a long time. So she was like, I never thought that we would be in couples therapy on our 12th anniversary, but here we are. She got him a really nice gift, and she's excited to give it to him. And so that's where the couples are in their rooms and breakdown. They flash back over to Thais, and Patrick went to the drugstore to get a pregnancy test because she's feeling nauseous and thinks she might be pregnant. She's not ready to be pregnant. She doesn't want to be a single parent of two because they have been only talking about divorce, and this is kind of their last chance. And if we fast forward to present day, we kind of know where that stands right now. So foresight, you tell me. Fizzy says yes, 10 years in and second marriage, yes. Becca says maybe he'll figure it out by the third. And Fizzy says has been married 2 times. Patrick wants a large family, but recognizes that his relationship is not stable. They do the pregnancy test. She's not pregnant. He feels that it's bittersweet. She feels relieved and happy. 2 separate emotions, 2 separate outcomes. What were your thoughts on the responses, Abby?
Well, Patrick said something that I think that they should both revisit if they're going to ever move forward in their relationship. He said, before they flipped it over, Alici's going to school soon, so it's not like you'd be at home all day with 2 babies. It will just be 1. And that single sentence to me was such a minimization of what motherhood requires, what full-time motherhood requires, and a minimization of the fact that maybe Thais has other dreams for herself where being at home with a child is not the best right now. And then because she's excited when the results come out, he says he's a little bit sad because of her reaction. So all of these, like this comment together with how he said he's sad because of her reaction, just let me know that he is having a very hard time considering Thais as an autonomous person.
You're absolutely, everything you just said is absolutely on point. Absolutely on point. I think that is why Guillermo is having a hard time with Kara, having her own money, making more money than him, fragile male ego. I think that's exact. You nailed it. You nailed it right here. Patrick is like, I brought over my trophy wife. I don't think that she needs anything. And I'm going to get this one right, except to be, I am going to get this right. Barefoot and pregnant at home and be like a trad wife. That's in his mind. And she wants to do other things.
Right. And he also he's not completely telling the truth. He's saying like, oh, I really wanted to have a big family. Patrick, you didn't actually think that you were able to have children. You thought that you had destroyed your sperm count by using various substances when you were bodybuilding. You told us that you were surprised that she got pregnant the first time because you didn't think that your swimmers were swimming. And so really what's happening is you want another kid to tie her down. That's what you really wanted.
100%. Twofer right there. Abby's giving you twofer.
Double fist.
They are all out for group therapy. It is, and this is the first time that I am hearing about this, let alone seeing it. So I'll be interested to see what next episode is. But I put down doll theater, but it's puppet and a puppet show, but it's puppet therapy. Okay, so Russ and Powell are not going to be there because it's their anniversary, so they're going to go off and do their own thing. And Jenny and Sumit, I don't even remember why, but they're not going to be there either. Actually, I think they have their one-on-one. That's
yes, they do.
Have you heard of puppet therapy, and have you seen it before?
I've heard of it, but not the way they're doing it. I've only heard of it with relation to children.
Yes.
And the puppets or the dolls they use are not creepy. They just use anatomically correct dolls because they want the children to be able to like tell what happened to them. Usually I've seen this in cases where the kids are being abused in a particular way that they may not be able to express, but they can show you with dolls. And so now I don't know anything about why they have these, as Patrick called them, Renaissance dolls and what's going to happen.
Yeah. So I agree with you. So art therapy, yes, with children specifically. I didn't know that the doll therapy was considered the same thing when it comes to children. But anyways, I haven't seen this before, so I am very interested to see how this pans out. But they're doing puppet therapy. Side note, Shekinah comes in very LA girly. She's got like a whole like bodysuit and the puffer boots on. I didn't see a problem with it. I was like, you know what, Shekinah, go ahead and be Shekinah, be you. But Rebecca hates the outfit, had a whole tirade. I did feel like it was a little mean girl behavior. And I kind of want to go into it a little bit, but then I'm like, should I? But you know, there are oftentimes women can be sometimes your worst enemies. And I think sometimes it's out of envy and jealousy and you. Like, just don't be that person. Just don't. You want
Rebecca
to say
definitely does not like Shekinah, but I don't know if it's out of jealousy. It can be, it could be. I think it's a little bit more. I thought it was a little bit more out of the fact that Shekinah keeps trying to like take up for Zaid or take Zaid's side. So she could be very well jealous of her, but I was reading it a little bit more of like she is upset because she's trying to be the unofficial spokesperson for Zaid.
Yeah, but I know a mean girl when I see one, and that's mean girl behavior. If she's upset about that, then be upset about that. But when you are looking a girl up and down and then commenting on her outfit, that has nothing to do with Shekinah standing up for Zaid. It just doesn't, in my opinion. But you all let me know what you think too. Just you. I just don't like it. Ugh. The 12-year anniversary people are doing archery. So that was Abby, allegedly Russ's idea. He set that up. He went to the front desk and set that whole thing up. And Pal is like really happy that they're doing something different. They're not just at home talking about their anniversary. They're doing an activity. So she's happy about that. They do a little, practice shots. She gets on target. He gets on target. And then they decide they're going to exchange gifts. Russ pulls out his gift, and she literally says before she opens it, I hope it's not a necklace. And it's a necklace. And she tries to hold it in, and he gives this whole, it's a swan. A swan is a symbol of love. And I really thought about you in this moment, Abby. And what
the purses.
Yes. Yes, I thought about you because, and also It's exactly what Abby said earlier. It's about communication is about talking and listening. Okay. Your wife clearly doesn't like necklaces, right? So you can buy all the necklaces in the world. That's not going to make her happy because you're not listening to what she's saying that she wants and does not want. So she's unhappy in this moment because you're being lazy. You are doing what you want to do because that's the easiest thing for you to do, which sums up everything that's wrong in this relationship. You just do whatever you want to do, and it's the easiest, laziest thing possible. You're not listening to her. So the more she communicates to you, the more you do not listen. The more she complains because you're not listening, the more you feel emasculated. But if you would just do something different, do something, have your, like your kindergarten teacher said, have your listening ears on, you would have no issues. Your wife doesn't want another lazy ass necklace because she put thought into the gift she got you for your 12-year anniversary, got you this amazing, what she says, a badass watch with orange, which I guess means something that you two talked about. You made it so that it was literally a gift designed specifically for you. And then you got her a swan necklace. And when she says that you've given her a necklace for her birthday, for Mother's Day, for Christmas, all the time it's a necklace. That's why she said, "Oh, I hope it's not a necklace." Because you put no thought into it. That means you don't care about her in her mind. That means you're not listening to what her needs and wants are. Which is exactly the problem in your sexual relationship and in your marriage in general. Abby?
Yeah. And he simply doesn't care because it's not everything that you said, he's actually aware of. Because when she said, like, I hope it's not a necklace again, he said, and I quote, because I wrote it down, necklaces are my favorite gift to give you. Necklaces are my gift giving is not about what you want the receiver to have. It is about what the receiver likes and wants. So he says that, gets upset that she's ruined the moment, and says, I'm going to go start shooting arrows again. She didn't ruin the moment. You ruined the moment when you bought that dumb necklace.
Lazy. I mean, I said it in episode 2, and it's consistent and lazy in all the aspects. You're lazy in your listening, you're lazy in the bedroom, you're lazy in your relationship, and just like Abby said, you do what makes you happy. And your wife is simply saying she wishes he would think about her and what she likes. That's it.
Does he even know? I feel like that would be a really good exercise whenever she feels like talking to him again. Can you list some things that I like? What do you think I like? Do you even, like, don't say this part, but like, do you even know me?
Yeah. I mean, she says, is he even trying? Is he even trying? So they're having that moment on their 12-year anniversary. Meanwhile, back at the puppet show, you know, you guys, I know you guys know me by now, but I'm just so, like, I can't help myself sometimes. I just can't. I can't. And you know what? Abby said this to me before, and it's true. Like, if I just don't like something, everyone's gonna know it. I can't fake the funk. And even my mind, like, I try to, but my mind is like, my mind and my mouth will not unite. So the chats, but like those puppets in my mind remind me of clowns, and I don't like clowns. And those puppets looked weird. They looked creepy. So puppet therapy is just not like, it's not hidden for me, and that's why I like the puppet show, because I just think this is a clown show. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it on my system. Back at puppet therapy.
they don't even look like clowns to me. It's worse than clowns. It's like something from a horror movie. Like, they're more scary than Chucky dolls. But you know, they're in England, so they have a different sense of like What's normal?
Back at puppet therapy, the group is mad at Shekinah and they confront her. And Patrick is like, who has ever had someone say to them, go back to their country? And they all raise their hands and they're trying to explain to her that you are in a group of immigrants. Patrick says, my dad's an immigrant, my wife's an immigrant, your husband's an immigrant. We're all a group of immigrants here. And I mean, I dare say we're all immigrants to an extent. That being said, Shekinah says, instead of owning it, where this could be over because you could just apologize, instead, 10 toes down, she says, has anyone attacked anyone from another country that they weren't from? First of all, you are missing the point. You are missing the point. And how dare you flip it and make it about them attacking you and you're the victim here? Why can you not just say sorry? You know that was a disgusting thing to say. Kara says to her, you never take accountability. And then Shekinah says, well, you can't go to a new country and act like that. Again, ignoring what the whole group is saying. Sarper is remaining silent, but we find off later to camera, he wishes that he was able to jump in because he feels like Shekinah, yes, she's in the wrong, but she's not the only one at fault. Thais is at fault. And I see what he's saying, right? Because Thais should not have put hands on. Keep your hands to yourself, everyone. However, let's address this issue because that's what the group is. If you want to be accepted back in the group, you need to address this issue. Thais calls Shekinah a racist. Kara says, if you don't want to be considered a racist, then don't say racist things. Rebecca says, second time this is coming out, you don't take accountability. And then to wrap it all in a nice little bow, Patrick says, we can't stand Shekinah. She's the worst person we've ever met. We love Sarper, though. So they're in a difficult situation. And then he says to Sarper, you should run. Which I find interesting because of present day, what's going on with those two. What are your thoughts on all of that, Abby?
So Shekinah says, I'm not racist. I was just saying she shouldn't act like that. And I really wanted somebody to respond, well, then what was the point of adding that phrase back to your own country? If your issue was, I don't want you to behave that way, you shouldn't act that way, then what's the point of adding on that phrase? If you want us to believe that what you said was not racist, and what they really mean is xenophobic, but people use racist for everything. If you want us to believe that what you said was not the way that we're taking it, then explain to us why you added that phrase onto it, particularly given the fact that we are in England right now. I wish somebody would have said that and just let the floor remain open, no bickering and arguing with her. And maybe she can have an opportunity to genuinely reflect. Or maybe if somebody would say, and this is not me advocating for her, by the way, I'm just kind of like thinking through different ways this could have been handled. But maybe if someone would say, or the therapist would say, I understand you were harmed, Shekinah, and I think we are going to address that. But the group overwhelmingly would like to address this issue first. Can we address this issue first, and then we'll return to the harm that you suffered? Because I think that's important. I think it's important we talk about that. But can we address this issue first? Shekinah, do I have your permission to do that?
It was definitely a missed opportunity by the life coach. I think that the life coach also didn't read the room. And I think that in order to move forward in the puppet therapy, you need to address the room. and the room is focused on an issue that they haven't moved past from the previous evenings. So let's address this, because they're not going to have their listening ears on, because they're focused on what they're mad at. And me, as being a non therapist, can even tell you that. Address the needs of the room so that you can move forward.
Right. Right. And she needs to be told that moving forward, when you notice yourself having a moment where you're being racist or xenophobic, just like general advice to everybody, and you truly want to be a better person, when you have those kind of moments, you have to consider other things that you've done and said in the past and other things that you will do and say in the future, and check yourself internally. I like to tell people that if I'm a Black person growing up in America and I still have to check myself for xenophobia and racism, then what makes you think that you as a white person don't? We all need to do it. We all, as my friend Michelle says, we all grew up in the reign of white supremacy. We all have things that we've heard for our entire lives that are wrong, that are hateful. And we all need to be deprogrammed from it, some to more of a larger degree and some to a lesser degree. And so it's something that we actively have to search out in our own hearts and our own minds, and I can, you know, if you follow me on YouTube, this is a good topic. I'm gonna make some separate videos about it. But there are ways that I've noticed it in myself a little bit more on colorism, and you have to work through it. If you want to be a better person and a better friend and a better parent and a better partner, you can't just say, but I was hurt too, which is what happens a lot in colorism. Like, but I'm Black too. I was hurt too. Okay, but I have to acknowledge the greater harm that is happening to other people who are also Black, who are darker skinned and having a very different experience in life than I am.
100%. I agree with all that. I mean, I had to take some of my isms from our previous show on 90 Day, and I really had to sit with it, you guys. I had to sit with it, and I called myself out on my own ignorance. And I thought about how many people I probably offended with my small minded idea of what housing should look like. And so, yeah, I think we all learn, and we all have to hold our own selves accountable for our isms. That's it. And on that note, that is the end of our show. Happy Friday. Have an amazing weekend, y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Linda is so girly. Abby the attorney. If you want to see all things lifestyle, fashion, rubs, and celebrity, and red carpet, all the things. We're there all the time. And if you're watching the replay, hit us up in the comments. Toodles.
Toodles. Good night. TTFN.